NFL Week 13, we're talking Lions Saints. Based on my numbers, I have the Lions right around a 2.5, 3-point favorite. Now, that's based on several different metrics that I think are important when measuring a team. That number is assuming both teams are playing at full strength. Now, the hardest part of pricing teams is adjusting for injuries. The Saints have injuries everywhere. Going into last week's game versus Atlanta, they were already without Marshawn Lattimore, their best defensive player, and wide receiver Michael Thomas. Now they lost wide receiver Rashid Shaheed and wide receiver Chris Olave, who's in concussion protocol. That's wide receiver 1, 2, and 3, all likely to miss this game. On defense, Cam Jordan left the game and didn't return last week. Wide receiver Lynn Bowden, tight end Jawan Johnson, and their starting center, all on the injury report. And if that wasn't bad enough, Derek Carr is not 100%. This is a very banged up Saints team, and I'm not sure how you adjust for so many players being hurt like this, but one thing's for certain, the current spread is definitely factoring in these Saints injuries. If the Saints get a good final injury report this week, the number will come down. What's interesting is with all these Saints skill position players' injuries, we're seeing the over get sharp money. It opened around 45, and it's all the way up to 47. Pretty strange, especially when you consider the Saints have struggled to move the ball or score at times when healthy. It's clear Derek Carr has chemistry and communication issues with this team. Saints went 0-5 in the red zone last week for 5 field goals. You'd think with all these injured receivers, the Saints will run the ball more this week with Alvin Kamara, but he's definitely starting to show his age. I've been saying this for weeks now. The Lions' defense is overrated. We continue to see teams move the ball easily on them, but the question here is, can the Saints take advantage of this Lions defense with Carr struggling and down multiple wide receivers? This is the only thing stopping me from really betting the over. Betting the over when Detroit is at home has been a straight-up ATM. Since 2004, no other stadium has more overs than Ford Field when Detroit plays. The over-under record's 93, 73, and 1. That's 56%. This game, of course, isn't in Detroit, but it is in a dome on a fast surface. But again, that means you'll need the Saints to score, and that's a tough team to rely on for an over. I'd like to back Detroit. They're really good coming off a loss. That Lions loss on Thanksgiving was tough. I had them in several teasers, needing them just to win outright. And a strength of Detroit this season has been their offensive line, but they're a little banged up, and it definitely showed versus Green Bay last week. Detroit went 1 for 5 on fourth down conversions, finished -3 in turnover differential too. It's almost impossible to win losing the turnover battle by 3 or more. You never see that. And I don't even know what they were doing on defense, playing man coverage all game when they're built as a zone coverage team. I'll talk more about that in the Packers game preview, but I just don't trust Detroit enough. Goff coming off his second straight game with 3 turnovers. He had 3 INTs 2 weeks ago versus the Bears and 3 fumbles lost last week versus Green Bay. And this game versus the Saints is close to being what I call a Jared Goff checklist game, which is always bet against Goff when you can check off all 4 boxes here. When he's on the road, laying points against a defense that can get pressure and playing outdoors. We can check off 3 out of those 4 boxes. Other than that, I got nothing on this game. It's a tough one here. That's it for this one. Until next time, good luck with your bets.